because technology is always making fun of me. I'm telling you, every time I turn this thing on, I think you can see me. I start talking and then the beginning of my video is cut off, or I wait. And then it's just like me staring at the screen like this for a long time before I actually start speaking. I'll just be like this. And then it's like live. Actually, you've been live for 6 minutes. Oh, technology. Okay. So I wanted to drop in and make this video really quickly. This is an informal video. I just want to touch in on this subject. Usually if I get a question, quite a few times, or people are talking about, I see people talking a lot about one specific aspect in this journey of racism and anti-racism, then I like to try to make some sort of offer free video or talk about it or post about it so that I can share that exploration and some solutions with you. So today we're talking about sort of ally fails, and there's a lot of, if you want me to get really deeply into this, please do come to my webinar that's happening in April. I posted it in the video itself. But really what I'm talking about is a specific thing here. And that is when people are trying to be allies, but they're doing it in ways that could actually be more harmful. Maybe they're not up to date on their information. Maybe they got poor information. Maybe they're sort of like in an old paradigm of thinking of how to be an ally. There's so many reasons that this could be the case. Okay. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, even in these volatile times, even in these times when there's so much hurt and pain and shame and blame and guilt being passed around. I still give people the benefit of the doubt because I'm committed to creating a new world where there's equity and there's connection and there's and that we can experience and pass around compassion and love with each other. So I always start with an open door, and I try to hold that door open for as long as possible. And sometimes I have to shut it. And sometimes I just like say, okay, maybe go to another door and then come back to this one, right? So we're talking about when people do things as allies that kind of miss the mark or can be harmful or hurtful, and they don't totally understand, right? And I see that people are watching out there, so please say something in the comments. Say hello. Let me one word about your day. What's your favorite color? Likes, stars, shares, likes, whatever. Let me know that you're with me. It helps me know because I can't see you, and this medium is always strange that I can't quite see you. So I got this question again today, and I'm not going to divulge the details, but basically the sort of setup is when somebody, especially in a leadership position or especially in a position of purple, all right, I love purple, in somebody in a leadership position or somebody who's highly visible, or somebody who has a lot of community around them looking at them, and they are maybe trying to be anti-racist or trying to be an ally, but their communication of it is actually, it might be old school. It might be like the old ways of that we used to think was helpful, but maybe isn't anymore. Or they're saying things that seemingly to them, you can tell to them that they're is the best they can do, right? But it's actually now with all this evolving thought and understanding of of the history of our thoughts focusing in on the concepts that really matter, that what they're saying is actually more harmful, right? And so this is part of quick evolution. In 2020, 2021 is all about very rapid evolution in all our thought processes, and also about revelations of wounding and healing those wounds. So not everybody we're not all going to be caught up all the time on every single subject of every single thing that we're all experiencing, especially when it comes to really charged subjects like race, right? Like gender, like health, really even, right? So, hello, I'm well, divorcing toxic person, looking to cleanse myself with the sound of your voice. Oh, Reese, I believe your name is. Blessings, blessings. Thank you for being here. Blessings to your healing. So this is the thing. You can approach the person and directly and say, we need to talk about this, right? But oftentimes we find that doesn't work. Oftentimes you get immediate defense, if we're talking about, a lot of times if we're talking about, a white person in a leadership position, you might get white fragility, right? Especially if you're a person of color in that position or a person of a marginalized community in that position, you're approaching that person and saying, hey, can we talk about, if you speak to them directly and they're in a position, this is power dynamics, if they're in a position of power leadership, you might get the I'm not racist. What are you talking about? You're the cause of the problem. Why didn't you educate me? You get all that stuff, right? So that's a pattern. That's the science and the pattern of white fragility, of fragility. And then if it's about race, it's white fragility, right? So if your goal really is to help this person try to sort of evolve their ways, this is the tip I'm going to give you. And that is approach them like a small child, not in a patronizing way, but approach them as a small child who has a big open wound and is feeling shameful and is feeling guilty already. Approach them like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. In some ways, you're course correcting. I see that the way you're commuting your allyship or your anti-racism, I see that this matters to you. I see that you want to be part of the change. I see that you want to bring this culture into this company. I see that you're dedicated to it, even though it might be hard. You want to acknowledge everything they're trying to do, even if they're doing it wrong, even if you see how it's hurtful, you still have to acknowledge the validity of their experience. The validity of their experience might be that I am anti-racist and I am doing the work, right? Even if you see that they're causing harm, if you really want them to evolve, this is the way that I would approach. Okay. I see that you're doing anti-racism. I see that you're being an ally. I see that you really want to bring this culture up to date. Then you add in, after you've acknowledged that, maybe even say thank you for doing that. After acknowledging that, it's not the time to say what you're doing is wrong, because then you're gonna get the fragility. You're gonna get the defense. You have to remember. Imagine them as a small child, just open wounds, just like, here's why. Because for all of us, doesn't matter what color you are, when we're talking about race, it's all a big, open, gaping wound. And we're still trying to detect all the infection. We're still trying to, some people can't even name it for themselves, what this is, what we're dealing with. Some people can't even name it yet. That's why you're seeing so many fights. That's why you're seeing people who say they're on the same side or whatever, and they're just fighting with each other and taking each other down, right? So after you've acknowledged and thanked them for doing that, even if you know that what they're doing is old school or harmful or they don't get it, right? Then you say, I've noticed that this field or this anti-racism or this way of being an ally, I've noticed that it's evolving rapidly, and there's so many ways that maybe we could be more effective. We say we, because once you have this kind of conversation, you're in it with the person. That's the other thing I want to tell you about. When you engage, you are taking on some sort of leadership role. When you do this, when you engage with somebody to say, I'm going to suggest an evolution, then you also take on some responsibility, especially if you're in like a business setting or a community setting. I think there's ways that we can do this that are like more contemporary and more effective and will be better for everyone and accomplish like what you're doing here. And then be ready with resources, right? Right? Make it something that, because like with a child, imagine a little child who's hurt, right? And you're approaching them, and if you say we, right? Let's do this together. You're not in this alone. It doesn't sound, if you do it that way, it doesn't sound like you're like correcting, right? It doesn't like feel like you're throwing salt on a wound. You're right. So imagine, now we're imagining them as a little, a little 5-year-old, right? But we are all kind of walking around, getting triggered and activated by people correcting us, the system trying to hold on to hold it on to us and keep us controlled and not let us be in our spirit. We're all kind of dealing with the oppression that's on us, right? So I'm going to go to the comments really quickly. Can you give an example of doing something old school and well-meaning but missing the mark, like certain phrase or mindset? Yeah, thank you for that question, Jack Whalen. One of the, like, for example, I don't see color in this cup. So for example, one of my clients who comes to my Black Mentor sessions for white people who are ready, which is my one-on-one sessions, had said that one of her, they were in some sort of collaborative community, and the leader of that collaborative community, it was time for them to make a statement about racism, and they don't believe in racism, and not believe in it. They don't hold space for that, and that they're actively as a community working to make sure they're good allies and stuff like that, right? So they were trying to make that letter, and the person who was in charge of it, the person who's kind of like the person who says, this is how we're going to do it, had put, we're colorblind. We don't see color in our community. That was something that came about, I believe, in, I want to say the 60s, the end of the 60s. That was the best that they could do as far as dealing with racism. Back then, it made sense to a lot of people that made sense. We now know collectively, and if you don't, this might be new information. We now know collectively that it's important for us to see each other's differences. It's important to understand that there are stories that you have no idea, you'll never totally understand. This is something that the spiritual communities that are white spiritual communities are having a big problem with right now. There's a reckoning going on. All right. So in that example, what that person was saying was, we don't see color, and where that might have been accepted before, it actually does more harm than good. Is that a good example, Jacqueline? Let me know, likes, stars, comments, if this is landing for you, if this makes sense for you, if this is helpful to you. Gemma is saying, I like that this is where there are good intentions and people genuinely want to help and understand more. It can only help to break down basics like you would to someone younger. Lessen the know. Yes, exactly. This applies to me. Yeah, and Reese is saying true. And this is the thing. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of oppression that's gone on, and there's a lot of inexcusable things that have gone on between people, race to race, within our own races, and we can continue to fight about it, or we can continue to find peaceful places where we can talk about it and work in it on ourselves, right? Like, racism and white supremacism lives in everyone. It affects us all disproportionately, but it is in all of us. We're conditioned for it, right? So we have to find our peaceful place inside so that we can deal with all the real truths, right? This is how this community treats me. These are the racist things that have happened to me. This is how I've been oppressed. All those things are true. All of our feelings and experiences are valid. Okay. We have to work on them in a way so that when we approach the whole, right? When we approach other people, when we're in situations, that we can have conversations about it and that we can actually work towards solutions. If we don't do that, we're just going to keep being crabs in a barrel. We're going to keep tearing each other down. We're going to keep, we're going to miss opportunities to see other ways of engaging with these subjects that make sense specifically for our own spirits. We will be angry all the time. We'll shame and guilt each other all the time. We'll tear each other down who are on the same side as us. So we have to find within ourselves, also knowing our lane. We might see this happening in a community. We might see this happening with a person, and we have to measure for ourselves, is this a situation where I can call someone out or up in a way that is inviting, in a way that they actually will evolve and actually will make a change? Or am I going to show up in a way that's just going to add more salt on the wound? Because that's a wound as well. Am I going to show up in a way where we need to compare wounds? Are we going to start an oppression Olympics thing? Or is this like, whoa, I'm triggered. This is not okay. It's harmful. And I want to fight, but really I should go and work on this within myself and get to a peaceful and grounded place, a place where I can really express and find a place where I can express without finding myself in a fight, right? So that I can find the cleverness and the compassion and the power to then show up in these conversations later when I see it happening again and be effective there, right? We have to know where our lane is at that moment, at those moments in time, right? Jack Wayland is saying, yes, this is a great example. I think that's why having real spiritual tools for this is not just toxic positivity and bypassing. It's so important. It gives room for real healing instead of skipping to get to the good vibes. Right. Exactly. Right. By the way, okay, so I want to say this last thing before I go. And it has to do with your comment, Jack Whelan. First of all, please come to my webinar or share and tag and like. It's by donation. I'm doing these webinars now once a month, anti-racism webinars. Next one is in April, allyship for people who are busy. Walk the talk, be effective. It's by donation. Sign up now before you forget. The one that's happening after in May, and I haven't picked a date yet, it's always the third week of the month, is about spiritual bypassing and racial bypassing together, and how that happens and what we can do about it, because that's a really big topic that it just bamboozles a lot of people, myself included. So thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for boosting the video. It helps me greatly. And I love your comments. If you comment later in a replay, I will come and say hello. Blessings to you all. Bye.